Some more people coming in.
I'm going to get a pencil. I'll be right back, just in case.
Great. So we'll just wait another minute in case more people come in, because more are still coming in. Don't want to multitask too bad.
Looking forward to the new Ghostbusters movie, and it's basically, it's almost everybody from the original cast, right?
All right, so let's see. It's about 7:03, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Catherine, are you okay if we get started now? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out today. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your evening to join the Hudson Library and Historical Society, along with Catherine Burek, to learn about LinkedIn this evening. My name is Kelsey. I'm a librarian here at the Hudson Library, and I'll be guiding everyone through tonight's stream and moderating the program. Before we get started, this is a little different. I recognize a lot of the names in the chat as being regulars in our physical programming, but this is actually our first virtual program, so to speak. If you are familiar with Zoom, you're probably comfortable in this interface right now, but if you're not, there's just a couple things I wanted to point out and make sure that you're aware of. Down your bottom of your screen, there is a chat box along with a participants box. Please feel free to open the chat box. We will have a lot of audience participation tonight, and we will encourage hearing your feedback in the chat. We have muted your microphones and your video cameras tonight, and that's just because of the size of the audience, and we don't want any audio feedback from everyone's microphones being unmuted. If you have any tech issues whatsoever, near the top of our participants list is Tech Support 1 and 2. They are two of our IT experts here at the Hudson Library. You can message them or just say something in the chat, and they'll help troubleshoot you along the way. If at any time the Zoom stream acts up for you, we do have this being simultaneously broadcast on the library's YouTube channel, youtube.com/HudsonLib, or you can just find it by searching for Hudson Library. We are live on there right now with about 10 people watching. If you are on the YouTube channel, you also have the ability to comment in the chat box. I will be monitoring it this evening, and if there are any questions whatsoever, we will also feed those back to Catherine throughout the program to make sure that we are accommodating as many people as possible. At the end of the program, Catherine has sent me her PowerPoint presentation slides, so we will be sending those to everyone who attends this evening, along with a short evaluation. We would love your feedback about what other types of virtual programming we can offer for you during this time, because even though we're not physically at the library, we're still here for you virtually. So enough of the housekeeping. I would now like to introduce Catherine Burek, our LinkedIn expert. Catherine has presented physically at the library in the past and shared her wealth of LinkedIn expertise. And tonight she's going to bring that to you digitally. Since 2005, she is the executive coach at the Interview Doctor, specializing in job search marketing plans, LinkedIn for job seekers, and job interview coaching. She's also the author of numerous professional development and career counseling guides. And we're so excited to have her here tonight. So if you could please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome, and however you will. Catherine Burek, it's all you.
Well, thank you so much, Kelsey, and team over at Hudson Library and Historical Society. It is my pleasure to be here. If you've ever been with me in a presentation at the library when we had the ability to be in person, you know that by now I would have gone up and shaken everyone's hands and said hello and asked a little bit about you. Unfortunately, this forum tonight is the best that we can do. So I want to encourage you to take notes, work up some ideas of things that you want to do as homework, and let us know if you have any questions. So let's get started for a second and talk about the concept of LinkedIn for both entrepreneurs and job seekers. It begs the question, what do entrepreneurs and job seekers have in common? Because you would think that they would perhaps be a little bit different. They might be looking for something a little bit different. That's true. Entrepreneurs are looking for clients, business people and entrepreneurs are looking for clients, and job seekers are looking for a job. But there is a very amazing intersection with the way that job seekers operate and the way that business people operate using LinkedIn. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the areas where it overlaps and what you can do to take advantage of this very powerful tool. So the purpose of entrepreneurs or business people and job seekers together, both of them have the same objective. And the objective is to get in front of someone with a compelling proposal or proposition that yields a positive result. Now, the result might be a little bit different. A job seeker is looking for a job. An entrepreneur or a business person is looking for more clients. But you have to get in front of people, and you have to have a compelling proposition. So this is our main point. This is the main area of commonality. LinkedIn is the tool that allows both groups to function using the same processes to achieve slightly different results. Although when you think about it, getting a job is the same feeling as when a business person gets a new client. So I am both a job seeker in my past many times, and I am an entrepreneur. I'm a business person. I've had my own business since 2005. I use LinkedIn every day for both in coaching job seekers. I've used it in the past to find jobs, and I use it today to expand my marketplace and find new clients. So I'm going to be sharing you information and knowledge that I use myself every single day. Here's how we're going to do it today. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have 6 steps, 6 tips that we're going to look at. First, we're going to look at understanding the problem. 2, brand yourself. 3, be found. 4, demonstrate value in some way to your target audience. Build relationships is number 5. And number 6 is content. Now, given the the time constraints, we're going to be talking until 8 o'clock. We might skip over some of these pieces if it looks like we're going a little bit slower. And if you have questions, just let us know. But these are the things we're going to cover today. LinkedIn has as its mission that there are all sorts of business people in the world, and they want business people like us to make meaningful connections and then to provide and receive value. So it's not just about accumulating connections. It's about what you do with them. It's about building relationships. So if all you ever do with LinkedIn is accumulate connections, then you're kind of missing the point. But when you think about it, when you think about finding new customers or getting a job, it's about sharing the value that you can give each other. So here's step one. Understand the pain you can solve. Both entrepreneurs and business people and job seekers need to do this. Okay, so the pain. What is the reason why someone should do business with you? The reason why a company should hire a particular person. They don't hire a person just because they want to. They hire it because they have a problem that they need to have solved. Similarly, as a business person, your clients won't give you money just because they feel like it. They only give you money if they believe you can solve a problem, solving the pain that they have. Then they will keep you as a customer. So I have a couple ways of looking at this. I consider 4 questions that every person who's using LinkedIn needs to clarify before you do anything. What is the probable pain that your target, either target employer or target client has? Can you quantify it? What is the pain, the value of that pain? Who has this problem? What's going to be your focus in addressing their problem? And how can you solve the problem? So it's kind of like a what, how, there's a quantifier, there's a who, and there's a how. It is our old friend who, what, where, when, why, and how. So the other 2 columns, I've created an example. So if I am an entrepreneur and a business person, and this is what I have established as my behind-the-scenes logic, the essential information that I use. The probable pain of my target customers is that they don't know what to do about job search. They might be afraid, frustrated, and embarrassed. When we quantify it, they have a loss of income and status. Who has this problem? My ideal client is not just anyone. It's process-oriented business leaders who are 40 to 60 years old, located somewhere in the United States. Now, that means that I have targeted a certain population, which means logically I have eliminated everything else. So as a business person, you don't sell your product to just anybody. You have a market in mind, a group of people or companies that you want to sell to. I solve my customers' problems, pain, but with a process that I think works. Okay, and you have a way that you solve your customers' pain. You should answer all of these questions before we get started. I mean, not right this minute, but as homework. Now, as a job seeker, if I was going for a job as a director of human resources, I would probably like to focus on the talent development portion of human resources. And so the pain that the company is having is finding the right talent. But we can quantify it by some of the measurements that companies take. I know who has the problem in the area of business that I would like to focus on, manufacturers, distributors of a certain size. And I have the ability to solve their pain with certain kinds of programs that I've created in the past. So by doing this, both job seekers and entrepreneurs, business people, will focus most narrowly on the information on their ideal client. And that's very important when you're thinking about using LinkedIn. So your homework, now you're going to get a copy of these slides, so you'll see this activity. Your homework is to understand the pain, quantify it, who has this problem, and how can you help them solve the pain, okay? You don't have to write that down right this second because you're going to get the slides. Number 2, know your brand. And we're still talking about how you begin using LinkedIn. And we're going to assume that you already have a LinkedIn profile. If you're a business person, you need a personal profile and a business profile, a company profile. You can have both. If you're a job seeker and you have a consulting business on the side that is, whether it's real or in name, you also can have a company profile. Anybody can have a company profile as long as they say that they're a company, and it helps to have a logo. So knowing your brand, though, is really, really important, because you're going to put this brand information all over LinkedIn. The brand, as a refresher, is your unique it factor. Now, that does not mean IT. That means it. What is it that makes you different? What's your reputation? How can you solve problems? So it's important to understand what it is that makes you different. And this is your brand, your personal brand. And if you're a company, you have a professional brand. As you have with branding is a marketing term, you want all of your branding to be consistent across all of your marketing tools. That means your website, your business cards, if you're a job seeker, your resume or a portfolio, your LinkedIn profiles in your personal or company profiles. And if you have a business, you might have a Facebook page for your business. Your marketing branding needs to be consistent across all of those pieces. Now, I've showed here, these are a couple of mine. Now, I know that there are a couple of people in the room who read my blogs because I recognize your names. Hi, Bob. So I've been goofing around with my background photo. The background photo is the place behind your head, that banner, and it also exists in your company profile if you're a business. You get a chance to say who you are and what's important to you. There is no right or wrong answer about how this looks. For me, you'll notice it says, I live on a boat and I think the water is wonderful. And so in my personal profile, my picture is about water. I took that picture. I think it's beautiful. For my business, my brand is about people and helping people, different kinds of people. But in both cases, you see blue. Blue is my color. I'm wearing brown now, but I often wear blue. You'll also see words in that background, in those background photos, that are consistent. Training and coaching to find the job you love. The point I want to make is that I'm trying to send a message across both profiles about who I am. This is my branding. And everything you see, you will see some form of blue with a few background colors. There's some green, and there's some a little bit of an orangey rust color. Those are just touches. Main color is blue, and that it's consistent. If you go to my website, you will see consistent blue and with the same kind of phraseology as well. So think about, as business people and as job seekers, you have the opportunity to define who you are. This means, of course, as I said earlier, some people will not like you. Some people will think that I am not serious because I live on a boat and spend so much time on my boat. I don't care. This is who I am, and I still offer a good service. If people are inclined to use me, then that's lovely. And if they're not, there are plenty of people out there. If you're a business person, that is true. There are plenty of people who do what you do, and your job is to find the ones that want to work with you. Okay? Demonstrating the problem you can solve, right? So your activity when you get your homework is to define your brand. And these questions prompt me. So as an expert in something, in some industry, because you can't be all to everyone, I want to be known for these things. These things can be characteristics. They can be personality traits. They can be experiences. All of those figure into your reputation, and you can curate those things. And so the idea here is that in LinkedIn, you put in more of what you want people to know about you, and hey, we downplay what we don't want them to know. because it's not important. Your brand is what you want them to know, right? We always tell the truth, so it's got to be true. All right, let's talk, moving quickly through, we're talking about SEO. We want to be found. So the whole idea about LinkedIn is to arrange your profile so that you can be found. You are also, in a minute, we're going to talk about finding, reaching out to find people to connect with, but first you want to be found. And this happens through a magical combination of marketing called search engine optimization. LinkedIn is not just a profile. It is an information technology algorithm that lives on the platform called LinkedIn. When you sit at your internet browser and you type something in to look for something, you are typing in keywords, and hopefully the people who you're finding have optimized their profiles so they can be found. I know this is a lot, and you might know this, but a lot of people don't, so that's why we're sharing the search engine optimization. What drives the search engine optimization are keywords. Now, job seekers might have heard about the concept of keywords because companies have applicant tracking systems that automatically search through resumes and profiles looking for certain words. These are my words: job search, resume, interview, career, LinkedIn. What I want is that when someone types in, I need a job search, I need help with my job search, or that my profile will pop up. I want to be found. So the way that you were, and I pointed out the background photo is up there because it's got job in there. The job is one of my important keywords. So you want your keywords to be represented in your LinkedIn profile at least 20 times. So my keywords are represented 30 or 40 times because I really want to be found. The algorithm behind LinkedIn pushes profiles to the top 100. It's a ridiculous multiple. It's like 30 times more likely, or some number like that, to be in the top 100 of a search if your keywords are represented at least 20 times. So this is an advanced technique. You can see that LinkedIn is becoming much more like your website, like Facebook, like other social media tools that are use this search engine optimization. So you will be optimizing your profile if you want to really use it. Okay. So your activity is to figure out what are the words that your target audience will use to find you, right? So if you're an industrial engineer, your keywords, and you're a job seeker, your keywords might be something like industrial, engineer, process improvement, safety, or maybe not safety, but those would be some of the words that you would be looking at. The fun part is that those words naturally fit into your profile. If you're a controller, your words would be controller, cost, budget, financials. Okay, so pick 5 or 6 of words that are important to you. You know, if you're an accountant and that is your business, similarly, you want words associated with accounting to be in there, because you want to imagine if someone is sitting at their internet search engine saying, I'm looking for this kind of a person, you want to pop up, okay? Number 4, we want to demonstrate value. So we've got a LinkedIn profile and we can be found where our SEO is good. Now what? So this is how both job seekers and business people can really separate their LinkedIn profiles from the rest. First step is by demonstrating value. LinkedIn calls these the 3 C's. When you look at a profile, I guarantee you do this as well. You're looking for competence, which is what you say about yourself. So I might say that I'm good at job search marketing plans. Fine. I might say it over and over and over again. Credibility is what other people say about you. So it's one thing for me to say I'm good at something. It's a completely other thing for other people to write a recommendation or click a skill endorsement and say, oh yeah, she's pretty good at that. Credibility. The third one are connections. Connections reflect on you. So if you've got connections like that support your business, that would be a good thing. You want to have people who are important. You want to have, like I was so proud one day. I got an invitation from like the queen of resume writing. I was so honored. That kind of a connection says a lot and reflects on me. If I am connected to someone who's bad at what I do and they endorse me or write a recommendation, it's like, really? You like that person? So you want to be careful about your connections. You also want to have, at a minimum, 500 connections. There's just no excuse for not having that many, especially for a job seeker and a business person. Otherwise, you're not getting the value out of LinkedIn. So you want competence. That's the way you describe yourself. Credibility, which is a form of recommendations and the skills endorsements, and connections, which are with people who are your target audience. So here are some of my recommendations: talent management, leadership development, and interviews. Now, some of these, like talent management and leadership development, are left over from when I was in human resources. Interviews, of course, is associated with my current role, but you accumulate this information over time. I've been in LinkedIn since 2006. I discovered this week, and so I've got an accumulation of it. But it says something about you. It sends a message. So what do your endorsements and recommendations say about you? Your activity is to complete all the descriptions in every aspect. You want your about section, okay? You want to have every job filled out, every experience filled out. Now, if you're a business person, the experience section describes your job. It's a critical place to do some marketing. So you should look for some consistency between your website and what you say in your LinkedIn profile, and what you put in your company profile. If you're a job seeker and you're out of work right now, you can find some really interesting examples of people who create a job that says, I'm a human resource executive, and then in the description, it says what I've done. It's another place to state your accomplishments. All of this needs to be keyword rich. Absolutely keyword rich. So for me, everything in my profile talks about job search, marketing plans, interview coaching, resumes, LinkedIn for job seekers, over and over and over again, because that's how people find me. That density tells a story about who I am and what I offer to my target client, because we want to be found. This is about being found. Recommendations are absolutely the number one item. Boy, I tell you, everything's a number one to me. I just think it's also important. But if recommendations are just a wonderful, heartwarming way to tell people about you, to get that credibility, especially recommendations from people who are your top customers, people who are good vendors of yours if you're a business. If you're a job seeker, your recommendations should come from bosses, as many as possible. Bosses, colleagues, vendors, customers, because it tells a tale. I like to set goals. You'll see there's a slide coming up about goal setting. But if you have only a few connections, you really want to get to that 500 mark or more, 501. You only do that by setting goals. I had set a goal every year in my strategic plan to increase my LinkedIn by 10%, my connections by 10%. Well, you know, I have a lot of connections now. It's getting pretty hard. This year I have to increase it by like 500. And it's like, really? How do I do that without just opening the door and becoming a lion? Well, it takes work and it takes energy. But if you have 100 connections, I challenge you to double your current connections. If you have 200 connections, I challenge you to double your connections to 400 in the end of a month or two. Whatever you say, set a goal and then do it, because you open such a much wider world of people who look at your profile. We were talking about this earlier before the meeting started, about how you do get a different view once you have more connections than less. Okay.
Catherine, a question did come in. Are there tools to help you verify your SEO?
That's a great question. There is a tool that will measure your penetration in the marketplace, and that sort of is helping it. I use the find feature in your internet browser up in the three dots up in the upper right hand corner. You will see a function called find, and I open up all of the elements, everything where it says see more. I open up everything, and then I look for my words, and I'll say, okay, I want to look for the word job. Okay, and then I take notes, and so that tells me if my 5 or 6 most important words are represented at least 20 times. And if those words are not, and I keep it in an Excel spreadsheet, if they are not, then I go into the descriptions and I find ways to add that word, because there's always a way to add the word. For example, if you're a job seeker and you are a manager or a director or a vice president, you should have the word lead in your profile more frequently than the word manage, because especially if you're a vice president or a director, you're more involved with strategic thinking and you will be leading people as opposed to managing. The only way to know that is to count those words. Does that make sense, Jody?
It wasn't my question, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But
All right,
there
that's
is
right.
another question. I do have another question.
Yeah.
While we're on the connections. Somebody wants to know, how about quality of connections versus the quantity of connections?
Yes, that's good. There is an ongoing debate. There are some people who think that I want to have only a few people that I know very well. And then there are other people who think I'm going to open the doors and accept absolutely anybody who comes in. I'm sort of in the middle. I think, in my opinion, that you want to have a large quantity of high quality connections. So whenever I get a connection request from someone I don't know, I learn about them. I ask them questions. I try to talk to them back and forth to see how I can be helpful. I ask them questions and I try to get them to talk to me. I think that when you're a job seeker or when you're a business trying to use LinkedIn to market your business, you do want to have a higher number of connections of good quality. You absolutely want to have more than 500. There is a bias among among companies regarding job seekers. If you have less than 500, like let's say you have 200 or 300, they will think that, and especially if you have 200 or 300 connections or less, and you don't have a complete profile with pictures and information, they will think you're old. They will. They will think you're old and that you don't understand technology, and they will not want to have you on their team. There are very many people who, especially job seekers, who don't have, they're very busy and they don't work on their LinkedIn profiles. If you decide you want a job, you work on your profile and you get at least 500 connections so that you give the impression that you understand technology and you are out there talking to people and networking. I hope that helps. That's my opinion. You have to decide how you want to handle it. There's nothing wrong with limiting your connections to a few people that you know very well. But if you're trying to find a job, it doesn't help you. Okay? If you're trying to grow your business using LinkedIn, it doesn't help you. More people helps you. So recruiters, just as an aside, and I want to get moving after this, recruiters can have 10, 20,000, 30,000 connections. And that's because they use it as a database. There is a limit, and I just learned it, what the limit is. I think it's like 30,000 or 50,000. It's a huge, ridiculous number. That is the maximum that LinkedIn puts on people to have connections. But the reason why they do that is because they're using it all the time, and they want to spread the word among lots of people. And so if you're a company, you want to spread the word among lots of people, you should have lots of connections of a high quality. So your target audience would be the people you'd go after. So if I wanted to use LinkedIn to market my business, I would direct all of my activity towards people who were my target audience. People in process-oriented positions who are manager, director, or vice president, who are 40 to 60 years old. That's my target audience. Those are the folks I want to have in my contact. Okay. So I want to see if everybody's awake, and we're going to test Jody's ability to manage all of this. And if you want to, you can use the chat box and just rate yourself on the 3 C's: connections, credibility, and competence. Rate yourself as 5 if you think you're doing a great job, and 1 if you're doing not such a great job. And just let's give you a minute to type in a number. Jody, how are you? And you could just say what you're seeing.
Three, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
2, 3.175. 4.
There's a process-oriented person.
Yeah. 3.
Yeah. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of 3s, a few 4s, a couple 5s I heard, and some 1.75s, which is funny and probably true. This gives you an idea of what you want to work on, all right? It also gives us an idea of what we want to work on with you as the library looks at being a support to job seekers and businesses with regard to using LinkedIn. Cool. Thank you. Now, number 5 is building relationships. So we've done everything up to this point just so that we can talk about this. Isn't that great? And I do have enough time to do this. So the whole point of LinkedIn and having those connections is to build relationships with people. So you have your target audience, and you want to generate discussions with them and ideas and talk to them. Okay, that's what you want to do when you're building relationships. Here is a process. This is a process. It is not sales. So you don't go into LinkedIn or any social media and expect to see an absolute immediate result. It's actually kind of funny. My husband, he has a very small business. He sells cord covers for power cords on boats. And he just opened a Facebook account, and he's learning all of this. And so you make your target. Who is your target? And you have a company page if you're a company, or a fully optimized profile if you're a job seeker. You identify the people who are the leaders inside that company or inside that organization that is your target. You start a conversation with them. You send them invitations. Your goal is to build relationships. Those relationships are what generate leads and ultimately could potentially turn into sales or job opportunities. Now, my husband, he said, well, I've been doing this now for 2 months and I haven't sold any more than I've ever sold before. Well, that's because this process on social media is about building relationships. It's about having your information out there for the world to find and generating leads. It is not a sales process, building relationships. So how do you do that? You talk to people about what they're interested in. If you're a business, you don't go up to people and say, hey, you want to buy this thing? That seldom happens. Nobody likes that. Maybe it happened in the olden days, but it certainly doesn't happen now. You go up to them and you talk to them about their life, about their problems, about the issues that they face at work, about what's going on in the marketplace, about how they're dealing with coronavirus in their company. The same is true for job seekers. You don't come at someone with, hey, do you know of any jobs? Because the answer to that question is always no. I don't know of any jobs. Now what do we talk about? We talk about nothing. We're done. And you wasted an opportunity. So people do that to me all the time. They come to me and they say, hey, Catherine, do you know of any jobs in HR? And I'm like, yeah, nope, I don't know. I'm over here doing my thing. I don't know about jobs. And then we have to stop talking. If they come at me and they say, Catherine, tell me how we can use LinkedIn to find a job. Well, I could talk for hours about that. So you go at them with ideas about what the other person wants to talk about so that they will think that you're interesting, and this is the way you build a relationship. It's about conversations. Conversations lead to relationships. So you want to ask the right questions to the right people. So yesterday I was working with a job seeker, and we were going in and looking at a company, and we were trying to find the person who was the hiring manager. We found that person. We looked at a profile, and we're like, oh, this is interesting. She went to this school. She's got this experience. She's used this kind of software. How interesting. And then I said, what would you ask this person about? And the one fellow, he said, I would ask her about yoga. Because in her profile, she says, I do yoga. He does yoga. What wouldn't the person respond if he said, hey, I do yoga, you do yoga, let's talk about yoga? Ultimately, the right question is the one that gets the right people to talk to you. And that conversation is what moves you towards opportunities, both for job seekers and businesses. I am a process-oriented person. Most of my clients are process-oriented. We measure everything. The more activity, the more results. So whatever measurements you want to measure, you want to measure them over time. I can most relate to job seekers. If you're a job seeker, the only measurement you have, unless you do this kind of activity, is, did I get a job today? And if you're a business, it's like, did I sell something today? Well, maybe you didn't. And if you didn't achieve either of those big, massive goals, you might feel like a failure face. We don't want you to feel like a failure face. We want to have something to celebrate every day. So if you say, I'm going to send out 10 emails today, I'm going to look for X number of 5 connections on LinkedIn. I'm going to talk to a certain number of people, and I'm going to have a certain amount of coffee, which in my book is a valid measurement. The more activity you have, the more opportunities you have. If you achieve your goals, you will feel happy. You can have ice cream. Ice cream is the optimal reward in my house. So if you finish what you said you were going to do, you can have ice cream. You measure your activity to get results. So your homework is to figure out what goals you can set to move your marketing effort forward through LinkedIn to achieve the goal of building relationships with people so that you can have conversations that lead to opportunities. I want you to think about, what can you talk about to get the other guy interested? It will vary from person to person. So one person might be interested in yoga. Another person might be interested in the latest supply chain issue. Another person might be interested in, how are you closing your books when you're all remote? There's a million things to talk about, but you want to pick the right thing for the right person. That's your homework. Okay, so we're going to put Jody on the spot again. I want to check in and ask you, what do you think, if you could write in the chat box, how do you think you could build relationships? As you've heard what we're talking about, what do you think you could do to build relationships with your LinkedIn connections? Let's see, I'll give you a minute to type. And also, I'm interested in what value you think you would get out of this.
I'm going to, while I'm waiting for their responses, I'm going to give you another question. A person who owns their own business has a LinkedIn page and wants to know if they can connect it to their business page. And I'm going to start reading the responses now. Congratulate them on their anniversaries. Offer help connecting people with others when you ask a question. Offering help on content and connecting people does the heart good to help others and increase credibility and confidence. Send them an interesting article. Comment on a post they have made. Be kind to them and listen to them.
You'd be shocked at how few people comment on posts. It's not a thing anymore. If you comment on a post, the person who made the post will be so happy. They will be so happy. They will love to talk with you. I know I sit there and I'm like, oh, I'd love to talk to someone. Please comment on my post. And I respond to every one of them.
Help solve
Those are
their
all great
specific
ideas.
need. Praying for them, simply asking them for help.
Yep, that's good. That's good. Now, for the business who wants to connect their profiles, you have the two profiles. In both profiles, you have the opportunity to put contact information. In your personal profile, you can have 3 websites. And you can also, if you have a company page, then when you put in your personal profile, you put the company name. Make sure that you pull the one that's associated with the company profile. And that way they will be connected and they will go back from one another, back and forth, okay? Okay, good. Oh, those are good questions. Those are good ideas. Excellent. All right, the last point that we want to make is to create and share content. This is where I lose half the audience because they find it terrifying. Content. What is content? Content is anything that you talk about. Anything you talk about. It's posts, it's articles, it's videos, it's sharing posts, it's sharing articles, it's little memes that are not political or religious. All of those things are like content, and it helps define you. It extends your brand. It is keyword searchable by the algorithm. So if I put an article on my LinkedIn profile that talks about job search, I've yet extended the utilization of my keywords job search. So if you're a business where you're an accounting firm and you share an article about accounting, you have extended your utilization of the words accounting. Okay? So a lot of people find this really scary, and it shouldn't be. You don't have to be a big famous writer to write a short article. I have one client. He's like, oh, I can't do that. Oh, he had a job and then he lost it, and I'm just checking to make sure that what I've got there. Yeah, he had a job and he lost it, and then I said, okay, so try content. Oh my gosh, he's putting out the most interesting things, just little blurbs. He's trying to get attention. He's content needs to be meaningful and relatable. It needs to generate interest so that people will talk to you, starting a conversation. So this fellow, he's starting to build some energy around the stuff that he writes. And it's taking a while, but he's finding it to be a great way to be creative. Now, this is not, this gentleman is an insurance manager. Okay, so it's like he is really process oriented. He's not an artist. well, actually, he's a very good writer. But you know, you do what is in your strength. And that if you have a PowerPoint presentation, you can add that to your profile. You can share small presentations inside SlideShare. There's all sorts of ways to get information out and share things that have your point of view. So what kinds of content ideas, let's ask you, write something in, what kinds of content ideas strike you right off the bat about ways that you can leverage your business in order to attract your target client? Do we have any more questions while they're typing, Jody?
No, I don't see any.
Okay.
See, product, demo, video, how to.
That's good. Yeah.
Oh, here is the question. Where do you find information on how to edit and make page beautiful?
Oh, to make your LinkedIn profile page beautiful? Is that what they're saying? If you could clarify that? Okay.
I
well,
believe
I believe that was it. Yeah, you know, I learn an awful lot by looking at other people's profiles. I do that all the time. I probably today looked at 20, 30 profiles, maybe more than that. And I look and see which ones look great and which ones don't. I like my profile, but mine is not the be all and end all. There are some really beautiful profiles out there, and you can. That's what I do. I have information on my website that is free, and articles. I write about this all the time. So that's what I would do.
Here's some more answers to your question. Educate about the service or product, testimonials, industry happenings, and your thoughts, reaction, links to industrial experts. And we do have some more questions.
Okay. Yeah, those are great ideas. Great ideas. Okay, what are some other questions?
Someone's having trouble how to edit and get images up there. And there was a discussion about paying for a subscription, if it's worthwhile or not. One person thinks it is, and others don't know. Folks, check out canva.com for help with great headers. Free accounts are great. And paid even better.
The free, let's address the.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Let's address the free versus premium. I understand that a LinkedIn friend of mine who's a LinkedIn expert, she's an expert, a friend of mine who's a LinkedIn expert, she said that she heard a rumor that the premium package, which is $30 a month for job seekers, was going away. And that means that the minimum package would be $50 a month. 50. I pay almost $70 a month. 70. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. I think it's too much, especially if they do that in this day and age with 20 million people out of work. I would not get the premium package. There will come a day when LinkedIn will tell you you must have the package because you're using the search utilization too much. And when they do that, you can do what I did, which was have a big fight with them on the chat bot, but that didn't help. I had to buy the package, and I've never been able to go back because I use it too much. So wait for them to tell you you must have it because it's very expensive. Now, I want to show you, okay, let's see, there was a question about the background, right? Okay. So there's my profile. If you go into the blue pencil here, it opens up a background. You have to do this on your laptop. You can't do this on your iPad or on your phone. And you see here's where you can enter a picture. And it's really easy to do it. You just have to find the picture, and then you hit that button and you paste it in, and there you go. Okay. I created that. Pardon me?
Catherine, it looks like I'm unable to see it. The PowerPoint is still showing.
Oh, okay. All right. Hold on one second. Thank you for saying that. And let me do a new share. Okay. There we go. Now you should be able to see it, right? Do you see it now?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Okay, good. There's the blue pencil. There's the pictures. There's my pro headshot. And here's where you put in the picture. You can make a picture. You can use any picture you want as long as it's free usage or you buy it. And you can play with it. I created this image in PowerPoint, and then I saved it as a picture and I brought it in. And it, honest to God, took me longer to figure out what picture than it did to do that. I've got all sorts of content here. I've got videos. These are videos. I've got articles. Here's my articles. All right. And that's because I really like to write. It could be anything. It could be little, like this. It could be longer. I commented on something today, and that's what it looks like when you comment. It went to everybody in my connections. It commented on it. There's little advertisements. There's stuff, you know. This is all part of things that I like. Okay. So this is the gentleman. He puts out this is what I was telling you about. He puts out some beautiful work and content. It's like, I think I commented here. I commented, this is fascinating insight into your field. Thanks. Okay. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about content, and we're talking about making it beautiful. It's easy when you think about it to do that. All here in the more section, another place. These days, these icons, emojis are very popular. So I added them. I wanted to try it. Here was for the question about websites. This is how I've got 3 elements of my website in there. Three places, because I want people to go to my website. But if I look at, this is how we tie together the 2 profiles. There it is. There's the interview doctor. And if I click on it, we go into the interview doctor's company page. Come on. Okay, so they're connected in that way. And I appear in there as the employee. Over here on this side, you'll see the number of employees. I have 157 followers. Oh, that's cool. Thanks. That's wonderful. But in here, when you talk about as a business, using this for marketing, all of the articles that I've created are posted on both my LinkedIn company page and my LinkedIn personal profile. I've been playing with video. There's a video that I did. I've got 6 more to upload at some point, as soon as I get around to it, because I want to try to get people to get more personal. So if you have a business, there is no sound coming from it. Well, it's distracting to see myself talk. I hate it. But if you have a business, you want people to know who you are, consider doing video. It's so easy. I can't believe how easy it is. I just use Zoom, and I just hit the record button. I turn it on myself, hit the record button, and just talk. And it makes me uncomfortable, but I do it anyway because it has a very good response rate. Any other questions, Jody?
Yes. Somebody wants to know if using an expert to create our content and managing it, is that a good idea?
So I do use an expert to manage my content. I write all of my own content, and I use a person to post it because it's a skill that I don't have. There are virtual assistants who specialize in creation of content and posting content for you. So if you're a business that's, you've got something else that you'd rather be doing, like selling or talking to your customers, and you don't want to be doing this, you could either hire a 16-year-old kid to do it, or you could get a virtual assistant, and there are plenty of places to find those, and they will be able to help take that burden off of your hands. But there's something to be said for having the personal touch. That's what my marketing person tells me, that if if it comes from me, like these stupid videos, okay, I don't think they're stupid, really, but like these videos, they come from me, they come from my heart, and people can see me, and they feel like they know me, and frankly, I feel like I'm talking directly to a person. So yes and no. It's your choice.
Someone
You have
has
another one?
a question. Yes, they have a question about losing their job in the financial field, and they want to know, how should I change my profile to let others know I am a job seeker, and how quickly should I make the change?
Okay, that's good. The question of how quickly is completely up to you. I have some clients who've been out of work for a year and they still haven't taken the present off of their job. It's your choice. It's when you feel comfortable. Now, there are a couple of places. You see right here, show recruiters you're open to job opportunities. This is a great tool to tell people that you're open. It could go to only recruiters, or it could go to all LinkedIn members. And I have seen profiles where it says, and I probably can't find one today, where it says, you know, Joe is open for new opportunities. In this section, you will be able to say what kinds of jobs you're interested in, what kinds of situation. And then you will be notified if somebody looks at your profile for it. Now, this is very powerful. Even if all you have is the only recruiters portion. I mean, if you're not out of work and you don't want your boss to know, you can click on only recruiters, and then recruiters have a special software LinkedIn version where they'll say, I'm looking for supply chain people in Cleveland. And if you say, I want recruiters to know that I'm open, and up here you say I'm interested in supply chain, those recruiters will get an email, a notification that'll say, Catherine's interested in a supply chain job, and they will look at your profile right away. Very powerful. There's also, you know, you could have a job, you could create a job down here in the experience section where you say, I'm like, almost like this. This is a company profile, but it could say, I'm an executive coach, job search, and it could just be, I could make the name of, I could say in transition in the job, in the company name, and then you could put an entire description in here. All of that you could have be a description of you and your accomplishments, restating your keywords again so that people will know what you offer. I've seen that happen. Both of those techniques are good. And like I said, I have one client, she's been out of work for quite some time, and she's not comfortable putting saying that she's out of work. So, like, it's up to you. Any more questions, Jody?
Yes, one just came in. As one who is self-employed, working contract jobs, do you recommend each company be listed separately or underneath the self-employed job?
I just had that. I had a fellow who was a contractor. He's an IT person, and for about 20 years, he worked as a contractor with about 5 different companies at 3 or 4 years each. And so what we did, and that's sort of the same. What we did was we said, he's at this company. Joe, I can show you one. I know which one I'll show you. Hold on. This one. I'll show you this profile because he's not a client. And let's see. So look at this. So he was with, come on. Here's where it is. Okay, so you see this? CSC Consulting. It says 8 years, 11 months, and it describes what he did in general as a consultant, okay? And then underneath it are the individual jobs, and you see he was consultant for Omnicare, consulting assignment for CSC. And then this gives him an opportunity to put in the accomplishments and it makes it really easy to read. Doesn't look like he's a job hopper if they're short assignments like this one. Griffin Labs was only 6 months, but he's not a job hopper. It was a consulting assignment that he was on. That's a really good technique. I like this technique. Okay, so here I'll leave that up for a minute so you can see how they did that, how we did that. Okay. Got any more, Jody?
No, we do not. I think
So let's go put this back and then finish up. Okay. So the whole point of this LinkedIn for job seekers and business people is to get in front of someone, your target audience, with some sort of compelling proposition, some way you can solve their pain that yields some sort of positive result for them and for you. That's how you will generate opportunities and build relationships. This has been just a total pleasure for me to do this this workshop. I really love it. I love this topic. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. I also have a group inside LinkedIn. It's called Job Search and Resume Tips with the Interview Doctor. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Yes, that's what it's called. And that we also answer questions there so that everybody can see the answers. But let me know what you think. At this point, I'll turn it back over to Kelsey.
All right. Well, thank you, Catherine. That was a fantastic presentation. I learned a lot myself. I was monitoring the chat throughout, and I did notice there were some like beginner LinkedIn questions. I'm actually one of the tech teachers here at the library. I normally do tech classes in-house, but we are going to be doing virtual tech programs. And it seems like there is a demand, so we will be looking into the opportunity of doing a LinkedIn for beginners. So for the few in the chat that are really still at the foundations of building a profile and really taking advantage of the features, because a lot of times people make a LinkedIn and then they let it sit. So we'll show you about some of the ways that you could create content, repurpose content, and build a profile. So stay tuned for that. I just want to say, because any way I can help, I want to. And I just would like to thank you so much, Catherine. This was a great evening, and thank you for doing our first virtual program here at the library.
Well, it's my pleasure. I love to work with the Hudson Library. Wonderful people. Thank you so much for having me.
And again, to everyone who came shortly after this program, I will email you a link for an evaluation along with Catherine's PowerPoint presentation, so that way you don't have to worry about taking down the notes tonight. And you have Catherine's information right there. So if you have any questions, you can contact. I'll leave the meeting open, so if we have any straggler questions for a few minutes, you can feel free to stick around and have your questions answered. If not, thank you so much for coming this evening. It was great seeing everyone virtually. Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, Catherine.
You're welcome, Jody. Thank you, guys. It was fun.
Hey, Catherine.